Hello everybody, Megazord X here, back at it again to give you all another very exciting video. And for today, yes, I'm going to be reviewing ReZero Episode 8 called The Value of Life. And if you haven't already done so, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner and check out my Episode 7 review, just so happen to miss it, or you need a little recap before I go up here and dive into this Episode 8. And my gosh, by golly, what the heck was even this episode? I mean, from the crazy moments from Garfiel doing this crazy transformation with his boiling beast blood within him, and he about had it with Subaru, even though his Subaru's not the bad guy, and then moving on to the moments where Subaru just got completely, oh my gosh, just a horde of rabbits. You think they're the most peaceful creatures ever, and they just mauled that man and ate that man from the inside out. I was like, what the freak is this? I was like, oh my gosh, like that was something to see right there. And I was like, this was some darkness right here. And I got a lot to say about this episode though. Oh my gosh, I'm just still trying to process all of this though. Alrighty, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review of ReZero Season 2. This week in ReZero, Subaru suffers the most gruesome fate by far: death by rabbits. Yes, you heard me right, death by rabbits. I mean, dang. Getting eaten alive by a horde of evil rabbits has got to suck, and Elsa's bowl cutting seems downright tame in comparison to what went down in this episode, and yet the killer rabbits weren't even the biggest highlight of this episode. At the end, Subaru manages to reunite with Ekidena, and he finally gets to tell someone for the very first time about return by death. This episode runs the whole gamut of emotions, from intrigue to terror to despair, and then at last catharsis. Once again, the storyboarding and direction outdoes itself here. Kenichi Kawamura reprises the role of storyboard artist this episode, delivering that final scene with a sequence of dramatic angles that successfully builds up the tension for an impactful release. He seems to have a thing for Ekidena because he also handled her first within that tea party episode within episode 3. Now, the meaningful look she gives to Subaru this episode really sells the curious connection the two characters have even after her absence from the past few episodes. Baito Akai, who directed the climactic episode of ReZero's very first arc, handles the direction here. The sound choices and the timing leading up to the rabbit scene in that particular moment painted an eerie atmosphere. As soon as that first rabbit appeared, I knew deep down in my heart, I had an unsettling feeling that something about it wasn't right. I mean, you see a bunny, most people think they're kind of cute or whatever though, but I'm kind of skeptical about a bunny every now and then. Not them real life ones, but you see one in a show, and you know something's gonna be up. Like don't let that come to no shock or surprise or anything like that though. But it took a while for the depths of that depravity to truly sink in. There's something almost comical about the scene when the horde appears and Subaru is terrified out of his wits. But it stops being funny when his extended mutilation plays out as Subaru's voice actor screams with utterly convincing agony. And real quick, I just want to take this moment out to explain something real quick, because apparently, for anybody that hasn't read the light novels, and I have to, do a little research on this myself though, but that scene where Subaru gets, eaten alive by all of those rabbits, apparently in the light novels, he literally got eaten inside out. Like literally, like they went through him, they literally went down, through his privates and whatever, like literally just ate everything from him, like inside out. And people were saying that, you know what, the light novel version of it was actually even more gruesome than what they actually, adapted within this anime. And me just sitting over here just thinking about that and just hearing some of the things they said, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I was like, man, oh man, Subaru. I was like, that was probably the absolute worst way we've probably seen him die from any of his deaths, period. Now, the rabbits might have had stolen the show in the gore department, but the scene which directly preceded it was also plenty violent. Odo's abrupt death at the hands of Berserk Garfiel hits very hard, and especially after his declaration of friendship with Subaru within the last episode. Garfiel seems stronger than Frederica in the transformed state, probably perhaps due to him having more beast blood within him. He tears Odo in half with one strike, and the fate of Arlon villagers and Subaru's faithful dragon Partridge is no kinder. This episode really wasn't pulling any punches whatsoever. That's all the more reason why that final scene with Ekidana works so well. Subaru has reached his lowest point in this season so far, and yet despite all of the heartfelt bonds he had formed with the others, he had never been able to truly confide with anyone about him having, all that crazy shenanigans stuff that he has to happen to go through. And honestly, I misjudged Ekidana at her first appearance because I thought she'd be sort of kind of like that manipulative type, kind of, running her own agenda and whatnot. But it turns out that even being the witch of greed means that she's primarily just greedy for knowledge, and she's actually quite a pure young lady at heart, huh? Well, honestly, I'm still trying to get a wrap on this girl's character though, but she's definitely not what I actually perceived her out to be. And some of the largest pieces of this arc's narrative are starting to come together. It really says a lot about how many twists and turns there were in this episode that the conversation with Roswell at the start ends up being an afterthought in this review. But his clarification that Beatrice isn't part of the witches cult seems very important in the grand scheme of things. The book Beatrice follows is the original, while the Gospels of the witches cult are more like, deformations. I don't believe for a moment that Beatrice is a villain, and judging by Ekidana's actions thus far, the witches don't seem, like bad sorts either. History seems at odds with the truth, and I expect to see that get addressed further as Subaru and Ekidana forms a closer relationship. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about this episode review though, but y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what the heck was running on through your mind as you were trying to grasp and fathom all of this information that was being processed. You with them eyeballs staring at that screen, seeing Subaru getting mauled by a bunch of rabbits and Garfiel just shredding through Odo and all the rest of Subaru's friends, and as well as associates and stuff like that. I'm like, gosh darn, that was just so freaky and messed up to the point where he literally almost wanted to kill himself, go back to that slothful way. And man, that twist at the end with Ekidana coming up to him and saying, just comforting him, even though he knew in his heart that he could never tell anybody about his return by death, sort of kind of curse. I won't even say that's like a power, it's more like a curse. It's like a curse and blessing in one though, but it's just so messed up. And the matter of fact that he's able to kind of get that off of his heart and actually say that to somebody, that was truly some kind of a moment right there though. But lots of different emotions flowing from this episode though. But let me know down in the comment section down below, what all do you think about this episode as a whole in a nutshell though. But that's all I gotta say about this within my episode review, y'all. So if you really like this review, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things ReZero Season 2 that's happening this season, y'all. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
誰にも言えず何度も一人でずっと一人で俺は
君のこれまでの足跡を知っている。